So this is usually the time, right out the gate here, when I spend 5 or 10 minutes complaining about liberals or their friends, the neo Nazis, or the fact that Stouffer's macaroni and cheese always tastes worse in the microwave than it does in the oven. But making it in the oven takes like 3 fucking hours, so I end up falling asleep before it's even done. And my wife's stuck trying to wake me up with like 20 pounds of pasta and cheese sauce to put away. Then I have to microwave it the next day anyway because I don't want it to, go to waste. And what's even the point by that time since I was trying to avoid the microwave taste to begin with? But I don't, tonight, I think I'm going to take a break from liberals and frozen dinners and whatnot. Uh, and we're going to talk about something else. Actually, I won't even complain about anti communists very much tonight, which is saying something since that seems to occupy roughly 20% of my days right now. Instead of that, though, I think we need, I don't know, I think we need to take a look at ourselves, honestly. Complaining about everybody else is easy, People do it without thinking, reflexively, oh, that's all rad libs do, right? They blame everyone else for their failures so much and so often that they don't ever get around to asking the question, well, what if we are the problem, right? So tonight I want to address a problem that we have. And I want you guys to listen to me here and take this seriously because it's something that's hurting us. I want to talk about how we conduct ourselves as communists, how we need to, walk the walk and not just talk the talk. Because the way we're going, hold on, there we go. The way we're going right now, I mean, we act as if we don't play a role in how we're perceived. And that dog don't fucking hunt, guys. It don't. It sits around the house looking sad all day. And nobody likes a sad dog, We need to train that dog. Make it a regal motherfucker. Like I'm talking like the Belgian Malinois that took down Bin Laden regal, right? We need that dog hunting with a crown on, right? Okay, that one kind of got away from me a bit, but you guys know what I mean. We're experiencing an acceleration of living standards decline right now. And obviously astroturfed neo-Nazi resurgence, and we still have to deal with dedicated psychos and losers who have decided to waste their lives spinning crazy lies about us. So we do not need to make enemies out of people who do not need to be our enemies. And beyond that, we need to recognize that all of us, each one of us, you, me, everybody, are no longer individuals bound only to our own ideas and actions. When we're in public, whether we're physically carrying it or not, we need to conduct ourselves just like we have the red banner of the people waving there right behind us. We represent not only the American Communist Party, but American communism itself. And as such, we represent one particular form of the universal process of communism, our particular form. And look, I know we're all human. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect, right? I'm saying that you have to try, genuinely try to build yourself into an example that people want to follow. With so many people like gunning for us, twisting every word and lying about everything, we need to live above reproach. We need to genuinely become pillars of our communities, not just talking about it or beginning to. We need to actually go through that process. We need to be the people that everyone in the entire neighborhood know for a fact that they can go to for help when they need it. We, us, and nobody else are situated to redefine and reshape Americans' perceptions of what a communist is in this country. That's an ambitious task, you know? So the discipline required in order to achieve it, that needs to be just as ambitious. What people see as a communist 5 years from now is going to be the aggregate of how we conduct ourselves in public right now. So we need to become people worthy of carrying that title, worthy of people like Lenin and Stalin, William Z. Foster, Henry Winston, right? And while I'm thinking about it, Winston wrote this pamphlet on this topic called What It Means to Be a Communist. I think it was in 1970. Don't quote me on that. It was around then. But check it out if you have the time. Actually, even if you don't have the time, make time. Check out that pamphlet. It's the very embodiment of American communism in his era. What we need is to bring that, the essence of that pamphlet and Henry Winston, forward into the 21st century. And look, I know we all look up to William Z. Foster, right? He was a hero of our country and our entire class, right? But it was Winston's leadership that kept the old party going through some of the most repressive years in American history during the proliferation of the fake left, right? And it was Winston's leadership that instilled discipline, humility, and direction in a largely decentralized body of people. That in itself is a tremendous achievement. And the pamphlet, Winston really he goes into why a communist is more than just some random college kid on social media who decides to put a hammer and sickle in their bio, right? And then reads some Wikipedia articles and then starts proselytizing and arguing with everybody about shit they don't really know about. He says that a communist, quote, devotes himself to ending all forms of exploitation. And here's the important part, creating the conditions for full human development. That right there, creating the conditions for full human development and coming at that problem dynamically rather than dogmatically, that's what all of us have dedicated our entire lives to, right? We really need to act like it. We need to give communism the respect that it deserves. For Winston and for us too, as an extension, this is bound up not just in the Marxist-Leninist tradition, right? But in the American revolutionary tradition as well. From Martin Luther King's political revolution to the second revolution at the end of the Civil War and into Reconstruction and the Freedmen's Bureaus, and all the way back before that too, to the overthrow of the British Empire in 1776. We need to bring the notion of the progress represented in the Sons of Liberty into the 21st century. Like I was saying, right? And we don't do that by not taking ourselves seriously. No, I'm not saying take yourself super seriously and never joke around, but you need to give yourself the respect you deserve for the tradition you're trying to be a part of. And it's that tradition that we need to prove that we're a part of, right? Ain't nobody gonna listen and just believe us just because we say that's what we're doing. We need to actually do it. We need to embody the process of communism, materially speaking, actually fulfill what it means to be a communist. The fight for the working class and therefore all of humanity, not just as some abstract idea, but as it exists in the concrete, objective struggles that we're all already a part of. And we're not doing that when we're letting ourselves get baited into silly arguments and wasting our time on people who are so terrified of the truth that they can't even read a book by Marx, for fear that it'll shatter their illusions. We're not doing that when we're making enemies that we don't need. or picking on people who haven't done anything to us, that's not helping. We only do that really by putting our heads down and getting the work done. We do that by organizing truckers, by pulling young Americans away from the poison of neo-Nazism and fake Marxism and leading by example. Nobody's going to listen to hot air. They see what you do. Too many of us want to use our work or what we've learned as a way to make ourselves look better than other people. We need to be more disciplined than that. We need to use our work, use what we've learned to bring others up, to bring them in, train them, and get them ready to fight alongside us. Because crises are coming, people. This isn't something we just make up. This happens in the real world. Look, all the anti-communists and the naysayers and all the falsifiers and the fake leftists, they're all going to be left flailing as we charge forward ahead without them. And you know, those who can come along will come along. But when we do that, when that's actually achieved, when it's actually achieved, rather than it being something we talk about, we will be what immediately comes to mind anytime any American says the word communism. And that is the goal. That is what we're building to.
High Sheriff Hazard is a hard man to be. High Sheriff is his only plan. He digs through pockets, takes what he can, for he's High Sheriff Hazard. He caught me one evening, and here's what he said: "You look like a Russian, you look like a red, and if you're fond of your skin and your head, beware the High Sheriff of Hazard."
What's up, everybody? I'm Noah, and that's Sebastian over there. This is Noah's show on our new night. We had really wanted to have like a whole new branding and look for you guys by tonight, but unfortunately, fortunately, we had a lot going on over the weekend and last week, so it'll be coming next week. Don't worry. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be really cool. What's up, Sebastian? Welcome back home, I guess.
What's up? Yeah, I had a great time at all the events. I hope everyone else did as well if you guys joined us. It almost feels like it was almost a month ago with all the stuff going on. It feels a bit hectic, but I actually wanted to add on to your point, and I think it's important to keep in mind that not everyone is going to like you personally, but this is entirely separate to how you are public facing the public. And we are representatives of something greater than ourselves. We're representatives of the Communist Party, and how we conduct ourselves in public should make any wrecker appear like an individualist. Like we need to make it abundantly clear who the person on the right side is. If we stoop down to their level, it doesn't matter who started it. We're acting the same materially to any bystander. It's two birds of the same feather.
100%, brother. We must always be the adult in the room. And look, I used to pride myself on this. And to criticize myself a little bit, I've let that go. I have let my patience run out with people. One virtue to really cultivate in yourself as a communist is discipline. And patience falls under the discipline umbrella, right? If we fly off the handle every time some, scumbag makes a new fake account in order to, bot whatever nonsense lies, then all we're doing is going down to that level and showing people that we don't have the professionalism necessary to carry through a real revolution,
Mhm.
right? And that's not to say revolution is some willful act that we're going to like magically push into society. This is already happening around us. What we need to do is take hold of that. And we're not going to be able to if people look at us um, like we don't have what it takes. We need to prove that we do. And that's really, really important. And we all sort of know it in the abstract, but then we sort of allow ourselves to fall away from it from time to time. We need to always, always remember that.
Mhm. And I think we need to keep in mind how powerful second order observation is, right? Because
Mm.
when you're debating with a lot of people like this truth teller guy, realistically he's not acting in good faith. Even if he's a federal agent or whatever, we're not really trying to change his mind. How we conduct ourselves is going to determine whether or not the bystanders, the people who are listening, are going to agree with us or not. If we just come across as the same, failed leftists that put us in this state with Trump derangement syndrome and being above reaching out to everyone and appearing like normal people, then we're doomed to repeat their same flaws, just from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, of course. It's when we look, if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it flaps around on its little wings like a duck, it ain't a fucking chicken, right? It's a duck. And if we act like ducks, we're going to be perceived as ducks. There is quite a lot we can do to combat the anti-communists and the fact that it's clearly some kind of op going on against us, um, without falling into that and looking like ducks, right? Um, it's all in sort. So to get a little theoretical for a minute, language is a dialectical relationship between the overt and the subterranean or the subliminal, right? So there's the words you're taking in, but there's also an aggregate subconscious. There's context.
Hmm.
There's specific language. There's tone of voice. There's hand gestures. All of this adds up. Like all of these abstract parts of it add up to that idea that you get in your head when you're communicating with someone. And we need to be cognizant of that and choose our words and how we act rationally and wisely. Because if people see us, just like yes, don't get me wrong, it's fun to make fun of liberals. I'm not going to say I've never done it. But if this is all people see from us, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, definitely. There are a couple of things I starred here. Um,
Yeah, bring them up, man.
this, I think someone answered it already. Jackson's in the electoral board. He is a representative of us. He's a member of the party. He's a member of the party leadership. But he doesn't speak solely for us. We're a party. We're a collective voice.
Yeah, I think this is an issue with bourgeois ideology. To look at an individual as representative of a group rather than the group being bigger than the sum total of individuals, right? So, yeah, Jackson's in the party. Like Sebastian said, he's part of the executive board, but he's not the only voice in the party. He's one opinion among many, right? I mean, he's not even the executive chairman. That's Haas, right? And we elected him into that position precisely because of what I was talking about in the opening, right? If you guys remember when Infrared started, Haas was wild, man, and it was fun, right? It was fun to watch. It was great to see someone who actually understood Marxism. It really felt like us at the Institute were finally no longer alone. But he was fun to watch because he used that in a way that entertained. And back then, he had no political ambitions, right? He still really doesn't. We kind of forced him to become the executive chairman of the party. We had to. He was the guy that could do it, right? But over the time, from that early Infrared days and like screaming at Bosch and making Nazis and fake leftists look silly, he's recognized that the things that we were recognizing at Midwestern Marx, that nobody else is going to do this for us, right? I think that's sort of a holdover from the middle class to like notice a problem, but they can go, somebody will deal with it, right? Wasn't nobody doing it. So we have to do it ourselves. And from that moment, Haas began a process of professionalizing, right? So that he could eventually get himself to a point where he could represent the party when we needed him to, right? That's funny. Slava, she said she couldn't watch Haas a few years back and look at her now. Yeah, I know.
Same was for me, honestly. Like I saw a Haas stream, and then I just decided that you guys were more up my alley. But I mean, that's going to be the case for everyone, right? And I want to stay on Jackson for a second to that point because something that came up as a result of this whole X situation was people pulling up Jackson's clips of him going on various streams or doing various things. And I think that there's also a difference between starting unnecessary fights and simply meeting people where they're at. A lot of those clips are not examples of him starting unnecessary shit. It's meeting people that aren't going to change their mind unless he delivers the message in that exact specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And so people need to understand that there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and there's also like this sort of like tendency that liberal ideology has of divorcing, no matter what it is, any fact from its context. And when they do that, they kill that fact. It's no longer a living part of history. It's this dead factoid that means nothing. It's an empty abstract. It goes nowhere, right? It can't develop into what it becomes. And what they'll do when they do that is because it becomes empty, they have to add their own meaning in. So they always come up with some secret, right? So Jackson, for instance, thanking someone for saying something nice about him. I saw someone the other day saying, "Oh, that means he aligns with, paleocons, or they mistake that for fascists or whatever it is." right? But that's not the case. Um, it we need to sort of really think about the dialectics of how we absorb information, and taking things out of their context always reduces it to an abstraction.
Mhm. Yeah, 100% agree.
I think there's also, look, there's a difference between starting a fight and ending a fight.
Hmm.
I've never started a fight in my life, but I have ended quite a few of them. Um, I'm not telling you guys to lie down and be a bitch,
Hmm.
right? Uh, I'm telling you to be smart and recognize that the form that something takes is just as important as the content of it. So the way you do something, the way you package a message is just as important as the message itself.
Hmm.
You need to think about what language you use. I mean, bourgeois journalists literally learn glossaries of terms designed to elicit different emotional responses,
Yeah.
because even bourgeois theory understands this,
We've
right?
seen this with Palestine headlines all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, your point is dead on. If we're finishing the fight, realistically, what that should amount to is clarifying the situation and making it abundantly clear, like, where the truth is. If someone tells you that they want you to die or whatever, sends you various threats, you finishing it isn't dishing that threat back at them. It's explaining why their position's false and why yours is the correct one.
Right. And there's also something to be said that, remember, uh like the sort of people we're dealing with,
Mm.
and the amount of fake accounts that get made, and stuff like that. Like, trying to respond to everything is a
Yeah,
losing battle.
that's why we also have a mute button.
Yeah. Balkan Taurus asks a good question. Left wing infighting again? No. Um, I think there isn't a left wing movement yet in America. We are trying our hardest to build one from scratch. And this sort of thing where we get bogged down in stuff that really ends up not mattering is what's often prevented one from materializing in the past. So, my initial reaction would be to say, oh, these people aren't left wing, right? But I feel like I'm going to make you guys all a promise right now. Do you remember how I used to treat everyone like they were acting in good faith, even when they obviously weren't? I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to stick to it, because at the end of the day, it's not about them.
Mhm.
It's about us and how we're perceived. Um, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, and
Uh,
also I'd like to make a point about,
sure.
like the situation with Hassan Piker, for instance. I think just because we've disagreed with him doesn't mean that's necessarily infighting. If we've constantly said we're willing to talk to you, you're more than welcome to join us. Let's have a dialogue on the situation. But if one side is constantly, either slandering you by directly propping up and implying, the CIA piece on Jackson or the party is correct, then it's a matter of self-defense at that point.
Yeah. And look, um, I don't think there comes a point when things are made apparent. Um, when someone is trying their hardest to divert potential revolutionaries into Zionism, bloodthirsty genocide, and imperialism, the way Hassan has with Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Cortez, uh, or Ocasio Cortez. I don't know if we can give him the benefit of the doubt anymore, especially after what, like Sebastian says, we time and time again say, hey, we'll talk to you. Why are you lying about us? We don't get it. And there's zero response.
Yeah. And I mean, at a certain point, once someone gets this big, there's also material interest involved, right? Like, what at this point is more important to him? If you already have millions and millions of dollars, you not willing to sacrifice this demonstrates quite clearly where your allegiances lie. Because I mean, I don't know, I've not seen his bank account personally, but something tells me he could retire today and be okay. Just put it all in the stock market and literally live off of that. But
Oh yeah, I'm 100% sure of that.
mm,
Um, that chicken pot pie makes a good point. That could be the case. He could have been compromised against his will. You never know.
yeah. And there
He
was
could
the
be
whole thing
trying
with
to do
his
what he can while having something held over his head. But here's the thing: this is why we can't trust these like middle class, and he is technically middle class, sort of bourgeoisified people. That money gets them in a place where they're growing up in a different world than we do,
Mhm.
right? And who knows what he has hanging over his head. But Sebastian made a very good point. When you have millions of dollars and you do not use it for the class struggle, there's something fishy going on
Mhm.
because you are not really dedicated. You may talk the talk, but you ain't walking the walk, right? There's no other way to put it. Especially when that could literally build that. If the party had that money,
Yeah.
we would be set.
No kidding.
You
I mean,
know?
if you can afford to not work and you're not working to dedicate your life to the class struggle, then I mean, it's a bit pathetic in my opinion. And also, I mean, not that I mean we've made the point that you have to reach out and meet people where they are, go on these various platforms, but also there comes a point. The types of people that he associates with on a political level, Bernie Sanders, AOC, it's completely different from the people that Jackson associates with. Look at where he's going. Look at where he's sticking his neck out and doing. Like, I mean, here's the fundamental difference. I doubt that Hassan is ever going to go to Yemen or do any of this stuff.
Yeah, definitely not. And you know what? Like, and this is sort of look. I don't want to like beat a dead horse here, right? But um,
Welcome.
just be smart. Oh, congratulations! That's awesome. Welcome aboard, comrade. It's so cool to actually like use the word comrade again and actually mean it. Um, and when I was in the old party and like seeing like individuals on social media all calling each other comrade this when they're not in any organization or they're in some trot group or whatever it is, that annoyed the shit out of me, man. But to be able to use that word that has such a long tradition and so much meaning built into it, to use that again is really, really cool for me. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one thing to use that with someone who you're mutuals with on Twitter or whatever, but I genuinely feel as though, my fellow party members have my back every step of the way, no matter what. To call someone my brother, to call someone my comrade means you have to have ultimate faith in them.
Yeah.
And if it's just a stranger, I mean, you're kind of LARPing. It's a bit weird.
Mhm. If it's just someone that you saw a little hammer and sickle emoji in their bio, they're not your comrade.
Mhm.
Uh, let's be real. And look, that brings up a good point. I remember uh, I've always called people brother and whatnot, and that bothered all the rad libs in the old party quite a bit, right? Because I'd call people sister, brother, etc. But it's like, well, one, this is what we need to actually be a family, and
Mhm.
like families fight. They disagree. Sometimes they don't even like each other very much. But at the end of the day, they come together and they're ride or die, no matter what. And that is what we must be for the Communist Party. Ride or die for the party. I would die for each and every one of you guys. That's awesome, Jay. Welcome to the part, or Jace. Welcome to the party, brother. But so I use this word brother, sister, etc., and someone got real mad at me saying it was too American. And I'm like, well, we're
That's
American. I'm not changing the way I talk artificially because you like really, really want to be offended for some reason, right? And you know what I got hit with was, you don't get it. Comrade is gender neutral. And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. I can't win with these people. And
Wow.
like I had to read this whole essay on why someone uses comrade rather than brother. And so like after that, anytime anyone asks me why I talk like that, I go, oh, I use it the way Hulk Hogan uses it. And I get out of it with a joke. Anyway,
That's insane. That makes you sound too American. Wow. Where the hell do they think we are?
look, and it brings up a good point about liberalism. It's this sort of reduction of all that is real and concrete that goes into building who we are to empty negation, to nothingness,
Mhm.
right? They don't see America or the USA or whatever uh, as a particular form of universal humanity. They can't see that particular and universal relationship,
Mhm.
right?
The thing is, as well, it's like we're able to fill stadiums of upwards of 70,000 people. And the US military, our state understands very well. They can tap into that force of patriotism and galvanize these people. Being nationally nihilistic serves no one but them. If we don't
Yo,
tap into our country's revolutionary history, we're doomed to fail.
for
They
sure,
clearly
for
understand
sure.
how important it is. We should too.
Keep going for a second. I'm looking something up.
Yeah, sure. After this, you want to get started on the Pope?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Sorry,
definitely.
I,
All
I
these
like.
people, they say it extends to just the US, right? Like they talk about us using the American flag as though the Cuban flag wasn't the same flag that they used prior to the revolution. But you know, I don't know what they think that the natural conclusion is, right? Like how are you ever going to convince people by just sitting in your own bubble?
Sorry, it's
Uh,
getting kind of warm up in here.
yeah, no kidding.
Dude, I have like all these problems with this microphone stand. It drives me crazy. As some of you may know, if you noticed, it's on this side of my desk now rather than this one because the like little clip-in spot for the boom stand is broken. Anyway, so now in order to type anything, I have to go. But this is it, look, it's in their sort of world view. The absolute end point of liberalism is anarchism.
Mhm.
It is looking at every like reacting to the negation of the ancient regime, right? Like the feudal empire, etc. Everything coming before the modern age, um, as if it's nothing, right? As if the all that connection and history that built it went into um, who we are results in emptiness or must result in emptiness rather. So reducing everything to, well, underneath all the bourgeois institutions that make us nice and say all the right pronouns, etc., everyone is actually fascist, right? That's what it really amounts to, which is kind of funny because it's really um, the same ideological markers as fascism. I don't want to get too deep into this. I'm actually writing on this right now. I'm writing and finishing a paper on MAGA communism in 2025 and what that means. So I go deep into the liberal worldview and the connections between anarchism and fascism and all that. But one of the ways this is sort of realized in the real world and made concrete is, like you were saying, national nihilism, right? And the real big problem with this is that during the New Left era, there was a sort of cleaving of real Marxism uh, from what was considered Marxist left wing, etc. Right? Um,
We are.
and during that time, all of this anarchism passed itself off as Marxist. But if you begin actually learning this stuff, you see that we're in line with Marxists throughout history in our country and everywhere else. And to sort of show you guys what I mean, um, William Z. Foster writes about patriotism and the concreteness of a people in the bourgeois epoch, even if we didn't just use our Marxism 101 to understand that, right? He says, and this is on the actual process happening and what it means. On their own part, the progressive forces in the mass organizations have made considerable appeal to American patriotism and traditions for constructive ends. But this appeal has been weak, spasmodic, and ineffective. He's saying they're not patriotic enough, right? The workers, farmers, professionals have not understood how to bring forth in their agitation the basically constructive role they've played historically in building American democracy.
Mhm.
In this respect, the revolutionary movement has been especially weak. From the foundation of the Socialist Labor Party down through the life of the Socialist Party, the IWW, and even during the early years of the Communist Party, there was a dominant tendency to ignore and scorn American tradition and love of country. This arose out of a narrow sectarian conception of internationalism, and it did much to weaken the position of the revolutionaries in organizations of the patriotically minded toiling masses. Here again, a better study of Marx and Lenin would have prevented this grievous error. Only during the past 3 years has real progress being made by our party in correcting this costly mistake and in basing itself upon a correct Leninist line. Now I'm going to read one more part. Uh, the cultivation of the democratic revolutionary American traditions among the mass organizations is one of the most important tasks in the building of a democratic front. We must not permit the reactionaries to steal and distort national traditions and the aspirations of the people. The great democratic mass must be taught by constant reference to American history that it was their struggles in the past that built our republic, that the Democratic Front movement of today is a continuation of all the fights for liberty in the history of our own country, that in the achievement of the current demands of the masses lies the fruition of all that is progressive and glorious in American history, that socialism is the climax toward which the entire historic struggle of the democratic American people inevitably trends. I saw you start a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, first, let me just respond to this really briefly. And I don't know. I think it's just a shame. Like, it would be true regardless of which country I'd be from, obviously, because this is universal. But to say this about America in particular, it's even more of a shame to me because of our rich revolutionary history
Mm,
compared to most countries, and especially countries that haven't gone through a socialist revolution. I mean, we have so much to pull from. Even just a cursory look into Black Reconstruction and Du Bois says as much. Like, what was the Civil War if not a class revolt in which the Black underclass revolted and defected to the North and basically undercut and destroyed their labor and productive capacity. But
yeah.
going to this conversation, I just want to bring up a few things.
Mm.
One,
This is
it's we're
yeah.
just communists. Like, this is just a tactical consideration.
Let me address this real quick.
Yep.
MAGA communism is just communism. We are like we've always been just communists, right? But the term MAGA communism, and it develops as a meme, so remember that. But it represents changes in American politics that you cannot ignore. It represents uh, not like a sort of revolutionary moment in how politics is handed. Well, I don't want to say revolutionary, that may be going a little too far, but a moment of change, like a Hegelian nodal point, right? Where the old is crumbling and this new thing begins to take its place. And it can't be based in what you think are the proper ideas, right? It can only be based in the material history that leads to it. So, uh, what MAGA represents is the working class beginning to recognize that it is the establishment that's the problem. What MAGA communism is becomes the conscious recognition of this and a dialectical transition of opposites, um, where what was at one point left wing became right wing, and vice versa. So, for example, the liberals of 1776 become the conservatives of 1863, right? The conservatives of 1964 become the liberals of 2000, and the liberals of 2000 become the conservatives of 2025, right? Cause and effect are always changing places. We can see liberalism beginning as a revolutionary force, but then becoming conservative as it maintains power, right? So that is what MAGA communism actually means. It's the recognition that it is the proletariat and not some leftist ideas that is the mover of history, because there was no left movement. The only movement was MAGA. That was it. I mean, after Bernie capitulated, he had a pretty good middle class movement before that. But after that, it was just MAGA.
And this is only apparent to Noah's point. Like, if you just look at it for what it is, on the surface alone, yeah, obviously. But sorry if you can hear a
No,
ambulance
you're
or
good.
something in the background. But as this person says, it's about the real movement of history. And if you take this into consideration, the fact that the MAGA camp is split over the situation in Ukraine and Israel, what's going to happen if we don't take advantage of this? They're just going to come up with another excuse and recuperate these people back into the fold.
Yep.
There is a break. There's potential for an epistemic break here. We can take advantage of this and pull them out of their backwards consciousness. But instead, if you just condemn MAGA communism, which is just a strategy anyway, we're not different. We're just actual communists. If you condemn this, you're confining us to failure, to losing.
I mean, well said. Look, and I don't want to stay too long on MAGA communism because
Yeah.
I mean it'll be Jesus Christ, dude. Everything in my office sucks. Sorry. It'll come out when my paper comes out, right? And we can discuss it then. But Jason Gregory says, which slave revolts began the American Civil War? It was actually they ended the Civil War. So the Civil War is happening. The revolution is at the end of it, right? So when the slaves begin organizing across different plantations, right, and it amounts to what Du Bois calls a general strike, because not only are they going over to the side fighting the slavers, they're at the same time depriving those slavers of needed labor for the war machine, right? And what this does is forces the issue of abolition to the fore. And it's sort of like, dude, okay, Lulu, you gotta stop just saying random stuff, man. We went over this last time. Like, reasons. We'll have the space, don't worry. But don't just say random statements. Give people reasons, man. Come on. You're smarter than that. I know you are. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So this forces the issue of abolition, right? Because after this happens, they can't just be put back in bondage. And so the northern bourgeoisie, who is occupying the South, needs to actually address the question for the first time in history. Now, this is huge, right? This had never happened. This wouldn't have happened in the wildest dreams of the Sons of Liberty, who called slavery a British crime against human nature itself. But here it was, and it wasn't the bourgeoisie who did it. It was the enslaved proletariat itself. Yeah, that's a great quote, by the way. I'm kind of all over the place tonight. I apologize, guys. Patriot, can a communist who is an internationalist at the same time be a patriot? We hold not only that he can, but also that he must. Um, I, I don't know. I didn't know we were still talking about the patriotism thing. I think all of this ties together, right? But I don't know. We could start talking about the Pope now. We got a new Pope.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to keep on this, we can.
Yeah, up to you guys. We even have the space coming up after that. So
Mhm.
if anyone has any further questions about anything, you can hop in there when we open it up.
Yeah, I wanna like.
Also, just generally speaking, you guys prefer the Thursday date? I mean, I imagine it's better for people who work. Monday's not a good day for anyone.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what this is about. Wasn't that the cannibal guy that the last king of Scotland was about?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, yeah, let's talk
Military
about.
officer, former president of Uganda. He was
Yeah,
overthrown, and yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. So there was a movie called The Last King of Scotland that like they made it about this guy. I guess I don't know. I don't know much about him. I know a little bit about Patrice Lumumba, and we definitely would side with Lumumba, but that whole region is kind of a mystery to me. Um, anyway, it looks like people like Thursdays. So yeah, maybe we'll stick with Thursdays. The only problem with Thursdays is that Haas streams Thursday nights. So we have to make sure we're done before he streams. We don't want to split audiences or nothing, you know?
I think he starts at 9 anyway, and most of our
Okay.
streams end towards like 8:30 the latest. So
That's
shouldn't.
yeah, I'm in bed by then.
Honestly, perfect timing. We can funnel people from our space into his.
Yeah, I think that'll work out well. Dude, did you know I woke up at 2 a.m. today?
Ugh. What time do you
2
leave the
a.m.
house?
My cat woke me up.
Oh, okay.
It was horrible.
Jeez.
I'm usually up at 4, but yeah, I couldn't get back to sleep. It sucked. Anyway, we got a new pope, everybody. USA, 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 USA. The first American pope in history.
That's actually crazy. I mean, to be fair, America hasn't been around for that long if you really think about it. But I would have expected there to be one by now. But apparently, he also spent a lot of time down in Peru.
Yeah, like 20 years, right? Like doing charity work and trying to uplift people in Peru, and you know what I found really interesting when I began looking into him, because I'm not Catholic, I don't know nothing about these guys, right? He was some cardinal. What I found really interesting when I began looking into him was that the current government, he's already harshly criticized when they cooed what's his face? Oh Jesus, why am I forgetting his name?
Is it the thing in Ecuador?
No, in Peru.
Oh.
I mean, it doesn't matter though. And even after that, the current president,
Pedro Castillo?
Castillo, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Castillo. Even after that, the current government are like claiming him as their own. They're like, oh, he's actually really Peruvian. Like, sorry, he's American. Deal with it. But I find it also. Thank you, John. That means quite a lot to me. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it brings up something good, because the last pope we had is a very interesting pope. And it really he reminds me of the popes back in the day before the neoliberal period, wherein they were anti-capitalist, because Christianity as a religion is inherently anti-capitalist. Now, a lot of the oldie-timey ones were what we'd call reactionary socialists, right? They believed in the power of the church, right? And and didn't have a materialist view. But this last pope was Pope Francis, right?
Mhm.
Um, said that like he had to be honest. If you go by the Bible, Jesus Christ was a communist, and he's not wrong about that. Um, this guy seems like a less realistic version. Now he's not a communist. I mean, the other pope wasn't a communist. Like, let's be real. He was for the people, which inherently leads to communism if you're politically minded and working class. But these people aren't in that headspace, right? They're full on religion all day, all night, and that's fine. This guy though seems more in line with sort of what they call like right wing populism, which is interesting to me because it's an impossible position to continue holding,
Mhm.
right? Like, my questions about him are: is he going to be as politically vocal as Francis was? This guy, and we haven't even mentioned his name. His name's going to be Pope Leo the 14th.
Mhm.
And I forget his actual name.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick. Robert Prevost. I don't know exactly how you spell it, how you
Yeah,
pronounce it, but
Prevost or
Prevost.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it. But and this sort of makes me think because the sort of the astroturfed neo-Nazi subculture that's uh like infecting so many young Americans because of the failures of the last period of history's left. Um, Part of their LARP is to say they're Catholic, to
Mhm.
pretend to be Christian, right? And so I wonder, like, how do they go about rationalizing the kind of things these popes say and do with their ideology? I mean, they're literally breaking their religion that they say they hold most dear and guides their life every day they're alive when they don't um, act in this way or speak in this way or embody an actual Christian message, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like in the US itself, I don't know if people are aware of the term third spaces, but in a lot of these rural communities, the church is really all they got. It's important for us to point this out and to point out that like this stuff is inherently, almost historically left wing because it's advocating for, true equality of society, and we have to elevate that, right? Obviously, it comes in a reactionary form, but to completely ignore these people who are leaning on religion is to, be strategically poor because the true message that these guys are giving out is one that's, genuinely good.
Oh, 100%, brother. And I think, look, in American history, the Christian church has been one of our primary progressive forces
Hmm.
and rallying points for revolutionary change. Martin Luther King Jr., who may
Yep.
be our greatest revolutionary, came to us from the pulpit of a Baptist church. And so all of these sort of confused liberals that misunderstand Marxism, when they talk about their national nihilism and how we're not Americans and blah blah blah, America's evil and it's only slavery and death and oppression. MLK wasn't Russian. He wasn't Egyptian. He wasn't Chinese. He wasn't Mexican. He was American. And he was the embodiment of the most advanced Americans of that era. And HMT, you are absolutely correct. He was very, very familiar with Hegel and Feuerbach, and in fact was a dialectical thinker himself.
Wow.
Now, he sided with Hegel in Hegel's sort of mistake on materialism. And like Hegel had this whole rationale how for materialism had to be a paradoxical position we don't need to get into. But for Martin Luther King, um, materialism meant the lack of the ideal rather than Marxist materialism, which is the real is the material and the. We don't need a dialectics lesson today, but um, and if you get one of the collections of his essays, he writes on Hegel and the Hegel reading group that he was in. Let me see if I can. Oh, here, A Testament of Hope. It's called. This guy right here. King was, and this is one of the ways that like we need to think deeper than what we're presented by the discourse, right? Because the discourse will tell you that MLK wasn't a thinker. He wasn't a revolutionary. He was a peaceful protester that just spontaneously organized people. No, massive amounts of planning went into this. He had the most advanced theory of our progressive forces of that era and was able to organize.
And they wouldn't have killed him otherwise.
Precisely.
They don't just kill random people who don't pose a threat.
No, they don't. And the Christian church is part of our revolutionary tradition in this country, going way, 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 way back to before the formation of the Republic. It was the Shakers who circulated the first ever petition to abolish slavery. Even like inherently really American forms of Christianity, like Mormonism. These are a part of our progressive tradition as well, believe it or not. If you look how the actual Church of Latter-day Saints is set up, and not like the crazy cults that like say they are and all that, the polygamists and all that, they really, really practice the way the Gospels teach you to live, which is very communistic, which is very hard to do in our society. And they can only they built this up and were persecuted all across America and ended up going into Utah. And I'm not saying they weren't brutal on their own. They were very much so. I mean, they were exterminating American Indians. They were going to war with the U.S. Army. They basically just took the Utah territory once Brigham Young was made governor. But as they were going, there's a positive and a negative, right? They were building up this more communistic form of living. And today, if you go to Salt Lake City, it's one of the nicest cities in America. They have an almost zero homelessness rate.
Nice.
There's signs all over the city that say, like, if you see someone in need of help, reach out a hand to your brother and help. And if you can't, call this number and we'll get them help.
That's awesome.
Those are the kind of things that churches do. They all volunteer their labor to provide for those within the church who were less fortunate, right? They work in, it's crazy. I mean, we could go on and on and on about Mormons. I mean, there's bad things too. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Colette. And let's start the space pretty soon here.
Yeah.
By the way, but Colette, this is a really misunderstood quote you're misusing here, sister. And I don't want to be mean or nothing. Look, the early communists had a problem with the church, not religion itself. And that's a big distinction because the church was a tool of class oppression. Mm-hmm. It was. The Tsarist church was literally telling Russians that they had been appointed by God to send their children to die, right? So that the Romanovs could get more gold knickknacks or whatever. When Marx says that religion is the opium of the masses, it's in his critique of Hegel's philosophy of right. And what he's doing is critiquing religious criticism. Because at the time, all criticism was based in religion. That's where, I mean, really, reading was coming from. All education was coming from. And he says that, along with this, the whole quote is that religion's at the same time, the sigh of the oppressed creature and the heart of a heartless world. It is, after being fundamental during modernity, what people cling to deal with the trauma of the Enlightenment and modernity, right? And in that way, it's opium. It's a painkiller. Now, a painkiller kills your pain, but at the same time, it can blind you to the source of that pain. So this is why he's calling for irreligious criticism, a scientific criticism. He's not saying religion is bad. We need to always think more deeply than this is good and this is bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it from a like a modern context, imagine what the Palestinians would be going through if they didn't have Allah to lean on, if they didn't have religion, something to tell them that, this is not all for nothing. We're not just getting emptily murdered. There's going to be a life after this. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I already can't imagine living under that situation, but without that, oh my God. And to this point, I might personally be an atheist, but there have been plenty of communists in history that have been religious. This is not a contradiction. I mean, the important thing is that you don't let religiosity affect your materialist analysis, but this is entirely possible. You can reconcile the two things.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I mean, I've seen many religious Marxist Leninists, right? And they've explained this because I grew up in a household that just wasn't religious, so it was never a part of my life, right? So I've had religious communists explaining these things to me, and to tell people things like that is only to alienate them, right? To tell people, oh, your religion is bad, I'm smarter than you. Like, what is the point? What are you actually trying to get out of that? That's what we really need to ask ourselves, all of us. What is the goal here? What concrete thing are we trying to accomplish? Because just saying your religion makes you stupid or whatever, all that does is piss people off, right? Don't you want to get people fighting against the ruling class?
Exactly.
Elizabeth, this is something that I've run into before. Show him the whole quote. It's in Marx's Critique of Hegel's Philosophy of Right. Show him where he says it's the heart of a heartless world, that he's not just bagging on religion. Anyway, we got the space up now, everybody. Right. So come on in. Everyone pile into the space. We're going to kick it off.
I'll get it circulated in Discord as well.
Awesome. Please do. I will
I joined if you want to invite me to be a co-host. Let me just get the link though.
Yeah, you'll have to do that. Let's see. Invite co-host. I can do that. I can invite a co-host. There we go.
We just have to make sure. Let me know when you're streaming it, because then I'll have to mute myself so I don't double my audio.
I'm gonna stream it like as of right, like 2 seconds from now. I'm gonna share my screen now. Where is it? Okay. Sorry, everybody. I'm a caveman. I don't understand technology. All right. And while we're there, everybody, go follow Sebastian. There's his thing. Oh, that's a good picture. I didn't see that one yet. I haven't looked at any of the pictures from the event, guys.
Yeah, that one came out really nice.
Yeah, very cool. All right, let's do this. Let's go to this. Wait, I don't need to do that. I think we're good, right?
Yeah. Let me know if you guys can still hear me after I mute myself.
Yeah, I think talk. No, can't hear you.
All right. Oh no, I was muted on the space. Okay, okay.
Oh, well,
Let's test it now.
yeah, you're very stupid, Sebastian, obviously. Yeah, you're good,
Might
brother.
come off a
You're good.
little
All right.
quieter,
So
but
the people who were trying to troll our chat, where are you? Why are you not asking to speak and speaking your piece? The floor can be yours, guys. We need hold on. We need a different thing because I hate this view. Oh, what did you do?
that's the one that's listed X
Yeah, I
Minutes.
know. I'm just gonna edit. Oh, we can't edit that one. Hold up. I have an idea. All right, bear with us, guys. It's still being shared. I just gotta edit something. I apologize.
I unfortunately don't have an answer to this, but do you?
Say again.
Is there like an official report regarding the inauguration of the Central Committee, like a release from the party, or?
I don't think so yet.
Mm.
No. All right. We're good to go. All right, there. Now we have one because you guys don't
Nice,
need
yeah,
to see that. By the way, I just want to say that that Sebastian's thumbnail skills are on point.
yeah.
Dude, that one of me dunking a basketball is just hilarious. All right, so if you were one of the people like complaining or wanting to like argue with me in the chat, go ahead and request, and we'll bring you up, and you can make your case in front of everybody. We got like almost 1,000 people listening right now. I'm sure they'll understand what you're saying. No, nobody. All right, anybody who wants to request, just go ahead and request. I don't care.
Do you want to maybe watch some of the videos that came out of the convention while we wait for people to filter in?
Yeah. Well, no, we can't because
Oh,
we are sharing the screen on
yeah.
this. Uh, look, we really need to switch now that we're doing
Oh,
this.
we have a request from Frederick. If you want me to.
Yeah, in 1 second. You can go ahead and approve him, and he'll just have
All
to
right,
wait
sounds
for
good.
a minute. But um, what we really need to now that we're doing this show this way, rather than me and Eddie and Carlos all on the same stream every single time. Um, we need to switch to Streamlabs.
Mhm.
The software is a lot more versatile, and we can have two media inputs like that going at the same time. Unfortunately, the
Yeah, that'd be
software we use
awesome.
right now it don't work. So anyway, what's up, Frederick?
He still has to accept, but I let him get
Oh,
in.
sorry, I was just fixing something.
I'm sorry, but I don't accept your apology. No, no fixing anything allowed, young man. How dare you?
So, I want to say, Happy Victory Day or something, or is that tomorrow?
Thank you. No,
Because I'm
that was
seeing people celebrate it today.
yeah, and we actually, as part of our event, had a huge Victory Day celebration in Chicago,
Yeah,
along with a
yeah, I
lot
saw.
of Eastern European community groups, like former Soviet ones, a Russian one, and someone else will have to tell us which ones
Yeah,
there were there. But unfortunately, I got a cold and I left early. I really didn't want to be the reason everybody went home and was miserable, so I didn't go. But
Yeah, if you
it
were
looks
sick, it was
amazing, man. I can't believe I had to miss it.
the wind was howling. You probably would have gotten a little bit more sick if you had stayed. So, but it was awesome to see. There were a lot of performances by Mongolian performers in particular. But there was this one Belarusian guy. There was actually this like 5-year-old who sang some songs, quite nice, and then some poetry recitation. Just overall a good time.
Very cool. Very cool. Like one of the things.
yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
also
Frederick.
saw a video of like astronauts put making a video of with the Victory Day flag or the Victory Red Banner.
There was
If
also a march
remember.
on the Thursday, which you might be referring to.
Could be. Yeah, we did a May Day sort of rally in Humboldt
Yeah.
Park. And look, May Day should be. Don't get me wrong. Victory Day is incredibly important, symbolizing
Mhm.
and remembering the victory of the organized working class over world fascism is something we should never forget about, especially these days with this
Yeah,
neo-Nazi
I'm sure
filth everywhere.
the fascists are shaking in their boots right now as Victory Day is being shown everywhere on X.
I think that their subculture is very childish. So I don't know
Yeah.
that they even, maybe some of them do, but I don't know that they even take themselves seriously enough to understand what Victory Day means. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh, so
Uh,
I guess their mascot's music video came out. I guess if you heard.
yes, and it
Yeah.
begins with like the words that like he's a cuck, which is true.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy, unreal. I remember a few years ago, um, probably like right when he met all of these neo-Nazi scumbags, um, who seem to have taken advantage of him because he doesn't seem like a bright guy, honestly. Just being,
Yeah.
I think they took advantage of sort of just a slow guy. That's all. Nothing against. I mean,
Hmm.
other things against him, but you know what I mean. Um, but before that, or as this was happening, he went on Alex Jones's show, right? And Alex Jones
Yeah.
is trying to help him uh, repair damage to his reputation. And he's like, a lot of people say you're a Nazi and you love Hitler and all this stuff, but that's not true. You're just a patriotic American, right? And Kanye's like, no, I love Hitler. and like, and like the look on Alex Jones' face,
Okay, you already
he's like,
damaged
you
yourself
idiot!
saying
I'm
that.
trying
And
to
plus, he
help
was wearing
you.
a mask too. I think, or was that?
I didn't
Yeah,
hear
and
a word
plus he
you
was
said,
wearing a
was it?
mask too, so that didn't help.
Frederick, you're killing me, buddy. Wait, you gotta wait till I'm done talking
I know.
to say something
Sorry,
because I couldn't hear a word you said because I was talking.
sorry.
No, that's fine. You just, all right. What did you say? You got to repeat it.
Okay, so yeah, so the guy was wearing a mask. With that interview that you mentioned.
Yeah. And what's funny is that there's like animal masks all in his new video, which strikes me as uh sort of reminiscent of the fact that all of these neo Nazis are weird, like anime pornography addled kind of like degenerates, for lack of a better word. Um, it's hyper alienation and sort of people without a community turning to this abstraction and fake community because they have nothing else. And the left became so repellent that it pushed them away, right? It said, you're the bad,
Hmm.
cis, straight white male. So, of course, they say, no, we're going to take that as something good. I
and
blame the failures of the last period of history's left for this, for
no,
allowing
definitely.
people to take it seriously.
And even Israel's recognized this, right? Like a lot of these people who are particularly men alienated from their society, they congregate on 4chan. And
Yeah,
as we mentioned previously, like the Israeli state has evidently been taking advantage of Pol to foster anti-Semitism. And I think what these guys really need is Stalin. We need to tell them what they have in their head about Hitler is what they've lied to you about the reality of what Stalin is.
yeah. It's at a certain point, it's sort of like um, you have to realize that like you're either going to be serious or you're going to be some stupid like troll online. And the ones who try to get serious will necessarily begin trying to educate themselves, reading things, right? This has to lead them to the sort of paradoxes within their ideology. How it's really just liberalism with a LARP. How everything they try to say they stand for is backed up with liberal reasons for it, liberal thinking that makes it valid in their eyes, right? Hyper individualism, etc. But those who like actually want to fight the establishment and are under the misconception that this does it somehow, are going to have to come to the conclusion that it's bullshit. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
way to actually begin studying this stuff that they say and not recognize that fact.
And that's where the party has to come in. It doesn't
Well,
come
yeah,
about through some passive action, you know?
If the party was founded earlier, I think the damage would have been minimal, but now it's just like
Well, the
big,
party
really.
also formed out
Because
of
you got,
historical necessity. You know, it was
yeah,
because
yeah,
of those failures that we had to come about.
very true, very
yeah.
true. All right, was that all you
When
had
I
for us
look at,
tonight, Frederick?
yeah, when I look at 4chan, it's kind of like this like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde stuff because the doctor has to take the medicine to become Hyde. It's kind of like that with 4chan where you release your darker side, and nobody will know who you are.
Yeah, there's a
It's kind
really,
of like
really
that.
good book that sort of analyzes the 4chan and Tumblr era as a single phenomenon called "Kill All Normies" by Angela.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's a great book. You should really check it out. But recently, it was revealed.
Angela Nagel.
What, Angela Nagel?
Yeah, Nagle.
There you go. That sounds like someone I went to high school with, by the way. I
Maybe
remember
you
an
did.
Angela Nagel. But it recently came out that like something like 80% of the posts on the poll channel of 4chan came from within the Zionist entity, right?
Mhm.
So like they're literally like trying to astroturf this neo-Nazi movement in order to give moral justification for the genocide they're carrying out. And we need to say that over and over and over and over again. We need to give that evidence over and over again. We need to show these kids falling into this neo-Nazi poison that they're getting upped by the Zionists.
Yeah, who the hell is telling you this stuff?
Right. Like if they think like Jews control everything, literally these guys are controlling you right now. It's wild how that isn't apparent to them.
Yeah, it's all narrative control. We have evidence of them with like Wikipedia farms,
Mhm.
mass editing articles, and I mean that serves the same exact purpose.
Yep. I mean it's just like the way the Nazis in Ukraine were. Like the bourgeois financial sort of aristocracy, really, rather than bourgeois, um, they will always use the institutions they own in their interests. Like we can't just assume objectivity. We are not objective. We are biased. We are partisan. We are, I would say, we are hyper partisan on behalf of the proletariat. And we need to understand that they are hyper partisan on behalf of their class. They may try to tell you they're objective, but they are not. No such thing as objective, first of all. So we're just being real with people. No, we are hyper partisan on behalf of the proletariat, the working class. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the important thing is to get these people to understand that it's about the money, right? Like a lot of people are trapped in the false dichotomy of like liberal versus conservative media. But realistically, if you think about it, they're saying the same thing every single time.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I don't know. We've gone over that a million times.
Yeah, of course.
Yo, why are you guys not sharing the stream around? What is going on here? There's like 10 people in the space. What do I got? Do I have to like
Yeah,
yell at you like
that's just like
hostile?
sad, bro.
Do I have to
Yeah,
like
that's
yell at
just
you
like
guys
sad, bro.
hostile? I don't get what's going on. Oh shit. I just accidentally removed Frederick, I think.
Oh,
Sorry, buddy. I was trying to click something else. Oh no, he's still there. Okay.
I think I still see him as speaker.
All right, cool. But yeah, like what do I have to do, guys? Do I have to yell at you like Haas? Share the space. What are you doing? Nobody knows it's going on.
I'm gonna make a post, yeah, because we're normally on Mondays. People probably aren't
Exactly.
aware that we switched.
Yeah, like I don't think many people know we were switching.
Yeah,
Well, they didn't know we were just gonna like do it this week, I guess.
yeah.
We've been talking about it for like 2 weeks. Mike Davis says we're all autistic people with no friends. Look,
But yeah, I'll get a post out or whatever we can get on our X and Instagram just to let people know we have a new schedule.
I think we all have a tendency to view things on the surface and not think about the deeper truth underneath that surface, right? And the like even when we think about that deeper truth, we don't put it into action when analyzing things actually happening in the real world. So you can say, oh yeah, of course I don't trust bourgeois institutions and the media, but then in action when it really counts, you trust them, right? You you believe what they're telling you. You're not thinking about social engineering, that kind of stuff. I don't know, man.
And it's also very difficult without us stepping up to the plate and telling them this because if you just look anything up on Google, I mean, Google's effectively controlled too. The first 30 fucking sources are going to be confirming your pre-existing biases.
Yep. And I mean, exactly. And that's on purpose. Wikipedia is controlled. I mean, I you would think with the popularity of the reconstitution of the American Communist Party, we'd have a Wikipedia page. And we actually do, but it keeps disappearing. I think that people are naive and selfish, especially within like the reproletarianizing sections of the middle class, to where there is clearly some sort of op going on, especially on X, that synthetically boosts anti-communist posting. Anything lying about the Communist Party that can act that looks as if it would directly conflict with the real world actions of the Communist Party, hurt it, etc., gets blown out of proportion, goes viral, right? People with 150 followers who every post they have gets like one like from their buddy or their mom or whatever, suddenly are getting 100,000 impressions in a day because they said something negative about the Communist Party. People see that happening and then go on the bandwagon in order to get that attention, to increase their own profile, right? And so all these people who claim to be these disciplined, dedicated communists falling into that, they know what they're doing. And they know they're trusting this bourgeois institution, X, and wanting to believe that everything's on the up and up and on the surface and working the way they tell us it does because it benefits them. And at the end of the day, they're putting themselves before the class struggle, turning themselves into anti-communists. I didn't know it was on Facebook too, Tripe. That's wild. It's everywhere, man. And people wonder why we're paranoid.
Yeah, and I think we just need to expose this reality to them. I mean, we have plenty of things we can point to. Just look at TikTok. Look at why they wanted to ban it. They couldn't control the narrative anymore. I mean, obviously it's possible to control because we've gotten banned so many times. But when the situation is so overwhelming as it was with, Palestine, it becomes impossible to control the narrative entirely. And that's the last thing they want, for us to actually have a democratic voice.
100%. What's up, Zoya? Who says always take the high road? Yeah, this is what I want all of you guys to do. Take the high road. We are not what we think of ourselves. We are not our opinion of ourselves. We're not someone else's opinion of ourselves. We are the sum total of our actions. We are our relationship to the existing world, right? To society. We are part of a whole that's greater than the sum of all of us individuals. And if we act like dicks, we're dicks. If we embody the process of communism and actually push the class struggle forward, then and only then can we call ourselves communists. Now, there are certain ways to do this, right? Join the Communist Party. I mean, me and Sebastian have done that. What about you guys, right? Get active in actual organization, right? Help your community become a leader within your community. Become someone that is trusted. Right now, all of my neighbors know that they can call me if they need help. Say, Ed, the guy a few houses down, is moving. He knows to call me and use my truck, right? The lady across the street couldn't get a heavy package in, so she knocked on my door, and I brought her package inside. That is what I want all of you guys to become in your neighborhood. And I want you to do it while flying the ACP flag. Yeah, I see that one you start. Go ahead, Sebastian. I gotta run out there for a minute anyway, so go ahead.
Yep, no worries. Yeah, I think we make we make this clear. We don't claim to not be biased, but it's important to understand, like, which direction the bias is coming from. We are biased in favor of the working class. And I think that anyone who tries to feign pure objectivity is not necessarily being honest with themselves, right? Like, we all have an agenda that we're pushing.
The person who tells you that they think without ideology is the most ideological, because they're so deep into it that they don't even know, right? It's Plato's cave, right? That people are standing in a another section of the cave talking about how they've escaped the cave, but they're still in there, right? I think that understanding your own bias is the first step in not having an objective analysis, but having a correct analysis. There's a difference there. We're never going to be objective, not in this sense of the word objective, right? We are always going to be biased, but recognizing our biases and recognizing our ideology is the first step in being able to really understand reality as it is and be correct.
Absolutely. Let me see if we have any people requesting. Yeah, I'll request to join the call if you guys have any questions or anything to say.
Yeah, otherwise we can call it a night. I know I want to give you guys a little bit of a break between our stream and Haz's, but I think I'm digging this Thursday thing, guys. I really am.
Definitely
My
better for me
Mondays
as
have
well.
become really busy too, so
Also, happy Mother's Day to everyone this weekend. Know it's coming up.
yeah, that's a big deal. We're actually doing a big brunch. This may
It's
be
nice
my
to hear.
mom's last Mother's Day,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
mine same for my grandmother. It's an unfortunate situation.
That sucks, brother. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, same for you.
I'm sort of like the head of my family after Pops, my dad died, right? And my mom is from a giant family. She has 9 sisters and 2 brothers.
Mm, wow.
All of her sisters are uh, over organizers, and all of them want only their plan in place, no matter what it is. So I have to deal with all 9 of these sisters trying to plan a barbecue at my house. um, and then when they get there, they always toss every single plan out the window and fly by the seat of their pants anyway. So that's where I'm at right now, which is
It's gonna be a whirlwind.
yeah, fun.
I think I'm
Um,
just gonna go out to I don't know, some restaurant with my mom's boy or fiance and or his family.
awesome. That sounds good. But yeah, happy Mother's Day, everybody. I can't believe like we had so many people talking shit in the chat. Why is it?
Yeah.
Why is it that people are very brave hiding behind a little profile picture and their keyboard, but fall to pieces when it comes time to just say it with your chest?
Well,
If you
I think
say something, you need to be able to back it up. We have this problem of acting as if people need to take everything we say seriously by right of just who we are. No, you ain't special. We have no participation trophies. We have no participation trophies. If you have something to say, you need to prove it is correct. This is what the Communist Party is trying to do. Prove that we're correct. Prove that we're able to do something real. Now, maybe we'll fail,
mm,
right? But I will try with everything I have until I take my last breath to help fix this country.
absolutely. And what I take it as a tacit admission of is that their positions are constructed on a number of just talking points, right? Like when someone's questioned, they'll just revert to another one. There's no actual substance behind this outside of, how various things make them feel emotionally rather than objective analysis of the phenomenon.
Yes, that's really, really insightful, brother. That's what it is. It's thinking in talking points, what they used to call hollow sloganeering, right? Saying something that seems like it agrees with a preconception, but there's never an actual concrete reason for it. If you are correct, you need to be able to provide reasons. If you want to be a communist, this is what you need to do. Period. You must always, always have a correct reason for a statement you make. Never just try to act as if you're correct and should be taken as such by value of who you are. You're just that special. Everyone has to believe you, or your feelings and intuitions are brilliant and right. Understanding ideology, your own biases, requires understanding where those come from. And in 2025, in the USA, that comes directly from institutions of the financial ruling class. Even the anti communist pretending to be a communist myth of saying finance capital is somehow reactionary, which is the stupidest thing. I'm being mean now. It's a very childish and incorrect thing.
Read Lenin.
Yeah, read Lenin for real. I think he says the term finance capital 85 times in Imperialism. That whole book is explaining what finance capital is and why it's the highest stage of capitalism.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just be correct, be patient, be understanding, be courageous, be honorable, be respectful, be communists. That's what it takes to be a communist. no less. We must always strive for these things. And like I said, none of us are perfect, right? Even I lose my patience. In fact, I just went through a period of a few months where I just tossed my patience out the window. But I'm bringing that patience back and working on it again. Because I genuinely want nothing more than to help free the American working class. And in doing that, taking part in a wider universal international process. The people who say like, oh, Americans are all evil, the third world, they're the good guys, and blah, blah, blah. To them, people in the third world don't need you saying that. They don't need your hollow sloganeering. They don't need your sympathy. They don't need your sympathy if you call it solidarity. They need you to fight your ruling class. They need real political power for communists in America. If you genuinely want to help, that is how you help. The way you do that is by going to acp.us/join.
Yeah.
And Zoe said something really smart here. Communism is worker solidarity in every aspect of life. Hell yeah, sister.
And the people who are ACP detractors, the people who parrot these talking points, right? They do it for a reason. That's just what's immediately available to them. And then they get attacked for it, which in their mind only confirms this.
Right.
We need to lead by example, and that's how we convince them. Just walk the walk. Don't attack them, even if, maybe you want to. Maybe they're attacking you first. But show them. Be the communist.
Look, I used to write fiction. And there's a sort of slogan all fiction authors live by. And it's show, don't tell. Anyone can say anything. It takes a communist to prove indeed that they're worthy of the term communist.
Mhm.
And that's where we'll leave it for tonight. Thank you to everybody watching. What's up to our friends at RBN? I see you guys in here. If you want to come on, we can extend it a few minutes. You want to come on and speak for a minute? Go ahead and request, brother.
Or
but
if you want
anyways,
to come onto a different stream in the future. Just
yeah, you know what? That's probably a
guest
better
or whatever.
idea. Why don't you guys join us on another stream in the future, man? We'll set something up. I'll message you or something. Anyway, thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody listening on the space. Have a great week. Remember, we moved to Thursdays at 6 p.m. And stick around, wait about an hour because Haz's stream is tonight. And I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Have a great week, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. We will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no rights. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come, greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations, we've but one earth on which to live. So come brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from above. So come from